All right, as more people get added in, I'll just get started so we can get the show on the road here. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today as we highlight one of our partnerships, Iridium Helps. Earlier this year, Sally, our president-elect, met with two of our speakers today, Caley and Whitney, and established this new partnership. So these are your speakers. My name is Jillian Flick, for those of you that don't know me, and I am the current global president for WEN, and I'm also an attorney with Steptoe and Johnson. We're very excited today to learn more about Iridium Helps. But first, here is a look at our global board members. We like to put that up at each presentation just so that you can, put names to faces. We like to show these wonderful women. So there you go. And then we also just, we wouldn't be able to hold any global programming. So we like to put up our global corporate members as it continues to grow. And so thank you to each of these companies as they continue to work with us and to be global corporate members for us. So now I'm going to I'll back up a little bit here, go back to our speakers here. But just to move over to why you are all here today, our presenters are Caley and Whitney Van Cleave. They are the founders of Iridium Helps. Not only are they sisters, nerds, book lovers, outdoors women, and travelers, they're constantly curious teachers who have turned their passion of helping women into a successful business. So WEN Global is very excited about our partnership with Iridium Helps, and we look forward to sharing Caley and Whitney's knowledge with all of our members. So thank you again for joining us today, and I will turn this over to Caley.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Jillian, for the amazing intro. My name is Caley Van Cleave, and my sister Whitney Van Cleave is also present. So you're going to be hearing from us both today in the conversation. And the name of our organization is Iridium Helps. And background is we actually have been involved in WEN for many years now in a variety of different capacities, both serving on boards in the Colorado chapter and participating in a lot of the national-based events. So it's a total honor to be able to partner with WEN Global and be able to help the organization in a new way, in a new capacity this year. And so Iridium Helps. Let's talk a little bit about our partnership. And we want today to make sure that we can walk you through what you can get out of this amazing partnership that we've put together. So background on us, while we are outdoor nerds, we also have absolutely spent most of our career dedicated in the HR recruiting space. So we've worked with a variety of different organizations as HR professionals and guided individuals through their career paths. And so our learnings over the past 17 years have really led us to developing Iridium Helps. And so we're really excited about it. It's something that brings us a lot of joy to give back and allow us to help other women through many of the different critical career paths that they're going to find that they emerge and they work through, right? So big things here is how the heck do we actually help women, right? How do we help you in this process? And honestly, it really depends. It depends on kind of what your needs are and where you're at. So let's break that down a little bit here. So 3 main ways that we actually can help with Iridium Helps is through free resources in our Iridium Helps hub. And so you'll find additional information on the website for WEN and follow-up communication on how to register for Iridium Helps hub. It's the heartbeat of the organization and how we can help you guys. And so that's where you're going to find free resources. You're going to find amazing self-guided courses and workshops that take the 17 plus years of experience in helping individuals in their career paths and really makes it bite-sized and accessible so that you can get the help where you need it. In addition, we also offer one-on-one help sessions. And so we know that sometimes people are more interested in self-guided support, and sometimes you might just need a person to work through the nuances of a specific situation or challenge that you are facing and need. And so that's what the Iridium one-on-one help sessions are for. But bottom line is we want to make sure that we can help women feel empowered in critical moments of their career path. And so that's truly kind of where these services and our partnership with WEN is based off of. So we're going to see this slide twice. You're going to see it now, and you're going to see it at the end of our conversation, because I'm a really big fan of repetition. So make sure that you guys have all the information you need. First, next steps are, after today's conversation, you'll want to make sure that you check out the Iridium Helps Hub. Like we were saying, it's the heartbeat of all of the services and resources and support that you could find yourself needing in your career path. You want to explore, register, you can ask questions, get answers. You can even book a meet and greet call with our team to see how we can point you in the right direction or a specific direction for support. And big one here is you also will get a 50% coupon code as well. So additional details on that. Now, Whitney, why don't you tell us a little bit about When We Help?
Sure, thank you. Well, first things first, we touched on our background pretty quickly, but one key thing that Caley and I spent years doing was actually recruiting in the energy space. And so as part of that, we did a lot of coaching with individuals, and that's a key part of what led us to develop Iridium Helps. We had always kind of worked on the more traditional headhunting side of things, but we would talk to a bunch of individuals, and obviously our clients would only hire one or two people. And so then we were like, well, how are we going to help others? And so that, in tandem with doing our HR consulting, makes up the bulk of our career experiences. And I bring this up because we've seen these things 10 ways of Tuesday over the years. And while there's a lot of similarities in the types of questions that come up and the situations that we help individuals navigate, everything is specific to your own situation. So we find that it's easiest to talk about kind of how we can help and when we can help in terms of that when, because oftentimes individuals call us at a wide variety of stages, and it's not super straightforward as to, hey, when do I call? So careers are dynamic. Let's talk about when we can help in those careers. Slide, Caley. Yes. Everything 90s is coming back, by the way, and I'm an elder millennial, so I'm bringing the clip art back. I hope you guys appreciate that. So, also, couldn't find a flippy hair girl version of this, so we're going with this one. But a lot of times, this is what we imagine our career paths to look like. I'm sure all of you can relate in one way or another. What you think you're going to do when you're coming out of college or just entering the workforce seems like it's pretty straightforward. You walk through the steps, you check the boxes, and bam, you're successful. But as many of us know, it actually looks a little bit more like this. And you're like, great, here's my career path. Awesome. It's chaotic at best and very frustrating at worst. So when we think about the realities of what our career paths look like, let's talk about some places where our intersectionality can really help. So it's when you're wanting to move up, but you're not entirely sure where to go. So whether that's getting a promotion or trying for a board seat or, any number of things. Hey, I want something different. I want to change. I don't know what that looks like. We're going to say that's right here. We can help you there. When you're wanting to potentially move on, but you're not entirely sure how to make an exit, because one of the things that we have learned very well over the years is that there's a bunch of resources out there about how to get a job. There's very little in terms of how to exit a job gracefully and effectively so that it works for you. So this is one thing that we take a lot of pride in helping individuals with, because the reality is it's like nobody taught us how to break up with our employers. And so being able to have resources available to help you do that is really helpful, we find, especially because it's an emotionally charged and oftentimes can be a pretty mentally draining experience, and providing tools to help you through that is a great way to make it less so. Slide. When you're wanting to be paid for your value, but you're not sure how to negotiate it, Caley is our resident expert on negotiation. And believe you me, there are 1,000,001 resources out there, from podcasts to articles, all kinds of stuff available for figuring out how to negotiate. The rub, though, is that you might need something that's a little bit more geared towards you, towards our industry, towards being a female in the workplace. So, we think that being able to provide support on that front is huge, because a lot of times we recognize that we want to negotiate a raise, whether that's just a raise or that's looking at additional benefits, more time off, a title change, access to a more flexible schedule. All of these things can be negotiated. And a lot of times we find that folks just don't know how to have the conversations effectively and don't have the support to kind of figure out how to script that out, identify what you're looking for, script it out, and then practice those conversations. So we're definitely able to help when you're in that spot. And we know a lot of folks stay stuck there. So we can help there. Next slide. When you're wanting to pivot, but you're not sure what to do, this is a big one. There is a lot of times where we just know that we want something different, and we're not entirely sure how to figure out what the next thing is. Great time to call us. We have a bunch of resources available on this front as well, because what we have found is that a lot of times it takes doing a little bit of kind of introspective work to really kind of drill down into what the characteristics of what you're looking for is. A lot of times our concepts for what we want next aren't necessarily what we imagine for ourselves. And doing that investigation process to figure that out is a huge help. So we're definitely here for you when you're wanting to pivot, but not sure what to do. Next. Thank you. Management. Some of us just get thrown right into it. Some of us want it and then decide they don't want it. Some people hate managing, and that's also a thing. So we love to work with folks who are looking to figure out how to manage well. It is a very unique thing. Again, there are so many different methods and approaches, and sometimes doing some heavy lifting and a little bit of work to find out what you like about it, what you don't like about it, where you can improve, tactics you can use. I mean, let's be real. A lot of us are in this kind of brave new world of working within intergenerational teams and navigating, learning how to manage on the fly as you're doing it. Some of us more gracefully than others. So when it comes to managing, that is something that can be so helpful to have a resource to go to for those management related questions. And this is something that we work with teams on quite a bit as well in our HR consulting, because there are so many dynamics and so many ways to look at that. So we're definitely here when you're learning how to manage or wanting to do it a little bit better. Oh, and who knew? Managing involves teams. So when you want to build a team, but you're not sure how to do it effectively, that's a great spot to leverage our resources and us as well, particularly because we have that background of recruiting, and this is where it can be really helpful. Oftentimes what we see is that when it comes to hiring, whether or not you are working in an organization that has an HR department or not, having some really good concepts and doing some good work around developing a practice for hiring and ongoing recruiting can be the difference between having a team full of people that you think are absolutely wonderful, huge contributors, or managing a team of people that you feel like you have inherited and aren't entirely sure what to do with because maybe you weren't quite sure how to navigate a difficult conversation around what you were looking for or what your needs are, and investigating some of those things from an actual job and role perspective. So we nerd out on the hiring bit hard, and we're here when you want to build that team and want to work on your hiring for sure. And pretty much anything in between, whether that is looking at transitioning into, a kind of different realm altogether, whether you're planning retirement, whether you're just getting started and trying to figure out kind of where you're headed. Basically, what we mean to say is we are here to help when and where you need it. So anywhere on that super messy career path journey.
Perfect.
Do you want me to do this? Or do you want to do this?
Yeah, go for it. You're on a roll.
I'll keep going. Roll, baby. So couple of things. We are definitely here when you need a little more insight than friends and family can provide, or as I like to say, to give them a break. I'm sure we all have those folks in our lives that we talk to quite a bit about work stuff. And I think one of the interesting things is that, when you're talking to individuals, they are relating to their experience, and their path might look very different than your path. So sometimes it's really nice to talk with some folks who have seen many, many, many paths and options over the years. And also sometimes nice to have a little bit of space. So yeah, next slide. Oh, yeah, this kind of is it. When you want perspective from professionals who you trust and have your best interest in mind. Some folks have referred to us as coaches. Some people have referred to us as like your personal HR, your personal recruiter, however you want to think about it. Basically, we bring that perspective to the table in the resources that we create to help individuals, especially with answering questions that may come up in your career. And then also on that one-on-one consulting. You are absolutely who we're here to help, and that's the long and short of it. So we're in your corner. And then when you want to skip learning the hard way and use what works. So there are a number of, I don't want to say pitfalls because that's pretty negative, but there's a number of like little bit of sticky gum on your shoes situations that tend to happen around careers and work. And we've seen them. There's definitely trends there and things that people just don't know. And so we really want to be here as a resource to help you with some of those common things that you might not think of, and to help, keep you from having to experience the hard learning sometimes.
Definitely the case. Okay, so let's give you a little bit of a teaser as to kind of who we help, right? So it's great to talk from a conceptual standpoint. I do like the clip art, Whitney, by the way. Like that's legit. We should keep those going. But let's talk about some of the individuals that we have been able to assist. And I think sometimes stories help you understand where we can be of assistance on this process. So let's talk about Hannah. So Hannah is an individual that we've worked with who was really, really enjoying her role at her company. She'd been with her firm for about 5 years. She really enjoyed it. As an engineer, loved the work she was doing. Technically, it was challenging, but she really wanted the opportunity to move up into a new position after 5 years of contributing in the organization. And Oh man, unfortunately, she got the no on the promotion. And so she reached out and said, hey, I need help, right? I need help trying to figure out how do I progress in the org that I'm in, if it's possible, if I've been declined on a promotion, and or how do I look for another organization where I could make that next step in my career path? And so we were able to help her identify that new opportunity and helped her through the whole process of negotiating the new offer with a new organization and really making that transition and exiting her former company in a way that kept, maintained those relationships and those rapport, because it's a small community where we work in, right? Energy is tiny. You get to see these individuals that you work with multiple times over. And so Hannah, we were able to help her in those transition points for her personally in this way. And wait, I love your clip art. Yes, we would not want to take pictures in this way, but I'm glad they're stock pictures that look like this for us to leverage. Okay, so that's Hannah as an example. Here's another example. We worked with Hillary. And so Hillary, she was finding herself probably about 15 to 20 years into her career path. She was leading this behemoth team in a large organization, which is something she had always visualized for herself. And it really was going well in all instances, except for the fact that she was burning herself out with this much work and this amount of need from a professional standpoint, balanced with her own personal needs of her family, a brand new family starting, and things along those lines. And so we actually helped her, take a layoff that actually occurred that she was impacted by, and helped her move from the perspective of maybe I kind of want to explore doing my own consulting business. And so we really helped make sure that she felt supported through that process and identifying and refining her new consulting business. And we were able to help assist her through identifying her new rates and what she was going to offer, all kinds of the kind of core foundational elements of setting up her consulting organization. And so really great example of taking, maybe a layoff and turning that into a positive opportunity for her next move and her squiggly line of her career path, right? Next, let's talk about Ellen. So Ellen's another great example. Ellen, she had been a contributing member to her team as an engineer for many years, and she really enjoyed the industry that she was working in, but she was getting kind of a stuck feeling of being, in this one segment of the energy space. And so she approached us to say, hey, where else can I explore next in the energy realm? And how do I work my way towards that next step? And so we were able to work with her to identify bridges between where she was in her segment of the energy space to other areas within the industry itself, and helped her through kind of all of the whole process of that job transition through offer negotiations and everything along those lines. So great example of an additional way that we can support individuals. And then last example that we'll give is Becky. So Becky actually started out as that, total amazing kick butt independent or individual contributor within her company, right? She was just crushing it, right? And then they promoted her into a management position, which is something she never thought she was going to need to do, was manage others, right? And so with that transition, she reached out and asked for some guidance and help because she wanted to do this new move within her company in a really effective way. And so we helped her kind of on two main areas. We helped her define and build those management skills that she needed in order to really embrace her current team and help motivate them. And then we also helped her define and identify her approach as a hiring manager on building out the additional teammates that she needed in that group. And so it was a great way for us to segue from helping her as an individual contributor into kind of this more kind of nuanced elements of being a manager, which does have, kind of challenges to tackle. So that's another great example from how, from our group on how we work. So remember how I mentioned we were going to see a couple slides twice? Well, this is the next slide. Whitney, you look like you might have something else to add there. Sorry.
No, I don't. I realized we were public. I was gonna be like, well, I've only seen that once. But not gonna say
Maybe we have it once, maybe we have it twice. Okay. So the next steps. So if you find yourself in one of these different kind of situations or phases in your career path, we want you to remember that we are here through our partnership with WEN, and we are available to help you. And you can get assistance in a couple of the different ways, right? So we have the self-guided options, right? If you're that individual that wants to try out the tools and the techniques and workshop it on your own, awesome. That's great. We're here to help you through the Iridium Helps Hub with those courses, workshops, worksheets, templates, all kinds of stuff, right? If you then decide that you need additional support and you want to refine that and make that more nuanced, or need additional you have additional questions and you just want to, talk to a human, we're here for that as well with the one-on-one help sessions, which you can also access through the Iridium Helps Hub. So key things, make sure you check it out. As well as, don't miss out on that 50% coupon code. That's a pretty nice one. A couple key things before we hand it back is, I think should we highlight some of our key courses and things like that that people tend to leverage?
Yeah, can I hop in for a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. So I'm sure a number of you might already be in the hub. Thank you. Right now, we've had over 50 WEN members register for the hub already. So this is great. And when we talk about the hub, basically what you can expect is that it is a central one location where you can access all of our free resources. We're talking, do you need templates, right? Do you need checklists? We have workbooks on, thinking about making a job transition and things like that. And then we have a whole host of kind of free one-off videos. And these are addressing questions that actually come from the community itself. And so one of the key features of the hub that you'll notice is that there is a feature called Ask Away Q&A. That feature is just a simple submission form. When you're in the hub, if you have a question, submit it there and we will film a short video response, because our thought process is that if it's a question for one person, it's probably a question for many people. So those questions can look like, hey, I thought I was doing a great job, but I just got told that I needed to hire somebody. What does that mean for me and my role? Questions about, I have a new hire and I feel like I keep repeating myself of having to tell them the same thing over and over again. Okay, great. We have some, we do a response to that with some kind of tools that can help. So there really is no right, wrong, or bumper system in place on those questions. And when we do our responses, one thing that we really want to highlight is that even if we collect your information in the submission process, our video responses are general and will not include any personally identifiable information. We do collect that because a lot of times we like to reach out and give just a little bit of a one-on-one response too. So that feature is totally free and we just highly recommend that you use it. It's great for one-off questions. And so that's a great resource. Then as far as some of our kind of more traditional paid offerings go, we have a couple that are pretty popular. One is our job breakup guide. That is a set of videos that will walk you through kind of your key considerations when you're leaving, whether that's from a separation, a layoff, or voluntary, things you need to gather in terms of information, right? What do I need to know about what's going to happen to my health benefits or to my 401k? And then resources of as far as where we see sticky points. So what documents can you collect? What questions can you ask? How do you set yourself up for an exit that works for you? So that's one of our popular ones. Another one is our raise negotiation. This is great for negotiating anything, really, even offers. And it allows you to basically self-guided walk through the process of structuring your ask, figuring out what your ask is first, structuring your ask, and then giving you some scripts and some kind of practice things to work on there. And then finally, what you'll notice is our kind of big kahuna main course is what we call Job Change Jumpstart. And this is a great resource for getting ready to look for a new role or to make a job transition, whether that's internally within your organization, excuse me, or externally. And that course we actually did earlier this year as a boot camp, and it was really successful. So we decided that it would be helpful, and we had feedback from individuals like yourselves that the 5 workshops that comprise that course could be helpful on a one-off basis. So you will note that some of our workshops say that they are included in that Job Change Jumpstart. That's just to give you a heads up that if you want the full course, you can. And what that is that's 5 hour-long videos and then a bunch of workbooks and awesome extras such as job templates, kind of using an AI resource guide for help in your job search and figuring out transferable skills if you're looking to transition into a new industry, for example. So it really takes you through everything you need to know. First one's 9 key decisions to make sure you're kind of getting your search criteria right. Then we go into, hey, how do we translate your experience into your resume with the idea of where you want to go? Third option is strategizing your search and figuring out how to leverage your existing network and things that you can do to make your search successful. And then the fourth one is developing your communication for that search. And then the final one is kind of just a general, hey, these are some really great tips and tricks for your job hunt. That's where you'll find the AI. It's where you'll find kind of a wins tracker. And then also a little bit of a deep dive on what you should know if you're going to work with a recruiter and things of that nature. So that is kind of our signature course. And all of those are available, all of our courses and any of our paid offerings right now. You can use that 50% off WEN code, and that will be super duper helpful. Other things that I think would be important to highlight is some of the common questions that we get from folks about working with us. The first being, I've never worked with a coach before. What does it look like? And the truth is that we really will focus on what your need is. And one of the things that we really enjoy is that from the hub, you can actually just purchase what we call a help session. It's an hour-long video session with us, and we'll work through whatever you need to work through during that time. It is $175 an hour. It's a flat fee. We try to keep it simple, but the nice part is we're here when you need us. So we're not trying to, we don't do like big, commitments and packages, because we've seen over the years that sometimes you have a question and you'd like coaching around something, and then it's 2 years before you need that help again. So we're really proud of kind of how straightforward and easy to use our model is in that respect. And then, gosh, Caley, what are some of the other common questions? I think that's usually the first one I hear.
Yeah, that's usually the biggest one. The other one is like, how do I pair some of the stuff, the self-guided stuff with like the one-on-one support? So realizing that, on the one-on-one front, you can definitely, Some people do the one-on-one before they dive into the job change jumpstart, or sometimes they do the job change jumpstart and then do a one-on-one to make sure they refine before they launch into their job search. So it just really depends. It's flexible, like Whitney was saying. It can meet you where you need it. And if you have questions, you can always book that meet and greet call, and we can help guide you with what resources might be the best to take a look at first, and or what next steps might look like for you personally. So
Yeah.
feel free to, leverage that as an option as well.
And then we have a couple questions that have come in the chat. And again, if you have questions about kind of the nitty gritty of working with us, awesome. So the first one is from Amy, thank you. And the question is, how do you help your clients take action and holding them accountable to the actions and steps needed to move forward? Here's the thing, we're human. So when we have our help sessions and we discuss kind of whatever's on the table for you, that is one of the things that we will ask towards the end of that conversation is what type of kind of next steps you're looking for. In some instances, it's as simple as we're helping you with an offer negotiation and, things go great and then there's not really follow-up. And so we'll ask kind of what you're looking for. It's not uncommon for individuals to use us, through a process and ask us to help them with that accountability piece. Mostly that will look like, what is your preferred mode of accountability? We like to pride ourselves on keeping up with people that we are working with in the process. So checking in, seeing how things are going. Are you applying what you're working on? Those types of things. And the other side of it is that it's not uncommon for folks to say, hey, I'm setting this goal for myself, for example, in a job search, right? I want to do X number of outreaches, or I want to have these conversations, and then book another time for a follow-up session where we can review that, and then it kind of rolls. So a lot of times we'll work with people repeatedly through a process in help sessions over a month or two, kind of depending on needs. So really there's some flexibility on that front. But again, it's kind of whatever you need. We're not going to pick up the phone and hound you if you don't want us to.
Yeah. So another question that we had in the chat was, how much support around navigating burnout is typical with Iridium Helps? So one of the things that we see with burnout is usually, our approach tends to be very kind of tactics driven. So what kind of tools and techniques can we provide and support to help you where you're at? So burnout, defining it, seeing what the root causes are, seeing if there's any opportunity for you to manage or modify certain elements of your work. That's usually where we start in those kinds of conversations, and then pair that with those amazing tool sets and techniques that are out there and available. And then ultimately, if there is not a pathway forward that is sustainable for you, then that is where those conversations come to, like, what do next steps look like for you? Does that mean that you need to make a transition, or maybe go back to the table with your current employer and renegotiate or redefine your role with them in a more effective fashion? So I hope that helps answer a little bit about our approach to helping individuals with burnout.
Yeah, I think how I would say it with the burnout question is that it is something that is so pervasive and so common in many of our day-to-day work experiences. Just the nature of being a woman working in the world today, whether that's second shift work and overwhelm or, any number of these things. But what we have noticed is that a lot of times the burnout is a symptom of something different. And what we like to try to do is to help individuals uncover a little bit about what that symptom is. And they run the gamut, let me tell you. So I think that's kind of our approach on that front as well.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Oh, great. Yeah, great heads up. And Amy, thank you for participating here in the chat. This brings up some really good questions, or a couple points that I would make. We are big advocates of putting you in touch with the resources that you need where you're at. So some examples of that is we find that oftentimes folks aren't aware of what is available to them in terms, whether it's family, medical leave, or short-term disability, or how to navigate those things, particularly in entities where maybe there isn't an in-house HR person, or maybe, you've gone to HR and they haven't been very helpful around some of these things. So it's a space that we feel like we can really help folks. A big one is navigating insurance. And we see this show up a lot when it comes to needing some support in how to navigate big time medical stuff. So, maternity leave, cancer, needing to take time off for big health reasons, and what is available to you for that type of support, whether that's kind of looking at COBRA and things like that. So, while there is a lot to be done on that career and shifting standpoint, there's also a lot that we can help with in terms of just staying where you're at and helping you to utilize some of the resources that are available to you that you might not realize. So that's a great thing to point out, Amy. I appreciate that.
Definitely. Okay, so we got a question about where we picked the name Iridium.
Oh my God, I would never choose this name again. I
Nope,
did not think
definitely
it.
not. I can't spell it. It's terrible to try to spell.
It's
mean,
hard to say, it's
it's
hard to spell. Yeah, no, terrible. But the backstory on that very briefly is that Caley and I were both working at a recruiting firm, and we had built up a very nice book of business and completely burned ourselves out in the process, and decided that we were going to approach the owner and say, hey, we just booked a trekking trip in Patagonia and we need to go check out and need a couple weeks off to do that. And so we went to him, we said that, and he said, great, I expect you to make me another $1 million when you come back, which might have been a compliment in hindsight, but didn't sit well with us. So we're trekking around in Patagonia. It's like shitting rain. And we're like, oh, what are we doing with our lives? And like having that dark night of the soul moment. And decided, why do we keep building these companies for other people? Let's try one ourselves. And that is where the concept of starting our own firm came from. The actual name Iridium, we did one of those super cheesy boat tours of this beautiful lake that was so blue. And we were like, why is it so blue? And the guide gave us this story about how a asteroid had crashed into the earth, and this element iridium is what caused this beautiful coloration. And then Caley and I were like, oh, space dust, that resonates with us. Terrible choice, bad for SEO. It's just been a nightmare since. So there you go.
We thought it was a rare element. So we figured like what we liked the rare element of that, but spelling it is terrible and nobody can say it properly. So I even misspell it when I spell it aloud. So that's the background on that.
Yeah. Oh, here's another one. Okay, so what courses would we recommend for someone who's been laid off is trying to get into a new industry? If you've already been laid off, I would say if you're facing a layoff, I would start with the breakup guide, because that'll help give you the tools you need to try to get your exit to look as good as it can for you for your layoff. But otherwise, I really think, especially if you're trying to do a big shift, doing the job change jumpstart is designed with that kind of specific situation in mind, because it's going to help you work through some of the head trash. I mean, because let's be real, one of the things that I don't think talk about enough in our industry is that when you are laid off, you are navigating shame and grief and like 1,001 emotions. And it's a lot mentally. It's not as easy as just saying like, oh, hey, well, I want a new job. Like, and so the job change jumpstart, that first leg of it is really designed to kind of help you look at where you've been, think about where you want to go, and then take the steps through that process to get there. And in these cases, a lot of times what we will do is do a bit of a buddy system. So we have a lot of individuals that will buy the job change jumpstart, start working through it, and then do a help session after the first one to talk through, hey, this is what, this is kind of what I'm thinking. This is kind of where I'm headed. And then we'll advise on that front on a one-to-one basis. And then they'll kind of do the next module on the resume and kind of check back in. So it's not uncommon for people to pair those things together, split it up over the course of a period of time. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's see.
I think we've tackled most of them.
Oh, yay. I'm glad to hear Iridium's getting some love out there.
Love it.
Does anybody have any other questions at the moment? If not, then I think we can go ahead and give everybody back a little bit of time.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to transfer this over. Jillian, do you want me to stop sharing so you can take over the navigation?
Yes, that will work.
Lovely. Okay. I'm going to hit stop share.
Okay.
Oh,
we'll get it. We've got a lot of things up, but we got it. All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for taking the time to speak with us today. Thank you to everyone that attended the presentation as well. We just have a few more slides, but I will be quick. So we talked a little bit about our Career Center, put some things in the chat as well. But if you would like to learn more, please do visit our Career Center. This is under our resources tab on our website. So if you look, if you go to that, then you will see Iridium Helps right there. You can jump to where you can register, you can learn more about them. And then we also have our job center with Naylor Association Solutions. So that's for both employers and job seekers who can search or post an open position there. Don't forget to listen to our WEN podcast. This is hosted by Cara Byrne, Beth Goldkreller, and Maggie Taliska on your preferred podcast platform. And then there were some questions about burnout. We're calling it executive functioning. It's a little swanky title there by Michelle, but this is our next global event. This is another one of our partners, Michelle Holmes of Flourish Consulting. And this is going to unlock that cheat code to flourish in high demand careers. So you can use your phone to get that QR thing. I'm not very good with that. I like the clip art and the other things that you ladies mentioned today, or you can go to our website and you can sign up for this. So we hope to see you all next month on our next global event. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Sally. We can put you in touch with Caley and Whitney if necessary. But again, thank you both, Whitney and Caley, for joining us today and helping us learn more about your company. And thank you, everyone. And we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Sorry, I was trying to answer more.
Oh, no, if there's more questions, I can stay. We don't have to shut it off.
There was just a quick question, but I'll catch up with it in another fashion.
Sounds good.
Sorry,
all right.
bye.
Thanks, everyone.